So if y'all follow me, y'all know I'm building a campground, and I do everything by myself. You know, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the campground to pay my bills, and then I'm going to use the rest of the 50 acres, you know, to build a self-sustaining farm. I want to get off grid. I want to be totally self-sustaining. So part of that is, like, I have the sawmill, and, you know, like, I bought my own dump truck. There's a gravel pit 2 miles up the road. I obviously need a lot of gravel for the campground. So instead of hiring all that out, you know, I try to do everything myself. So I bought this old dump truck. It's a 1984 C70 Chevrolet dump truck with a 366 in it. I bought it for like $1,000, maybe $1,100 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago when I first bought the property. And it didn't run. And what they told me is it didn't have any fire to the spark plug. So with these old motors, you know, there's no electronic ignition, so you know all it can be is a distributor, you know, the distributor cap. So since I bought this truck, I put a distributor on it back there. Put a new distributor on it, new cap, new wires. The carburetor had an old Holly on it, and it just leaked. I mean, I took it apart to rebuild it, and it was just gone. It had been, you know, rigged up here and there, and they had just, you know, kind of messed with it, and pieces missing off of it and stuff. So I finally just went and got an old cheap Edelbrock and put it on. It runs pretty good. But the other day, as you can see, I mean, it needs, I'd like to restore this thing, but like some of this stuff, I don't even know what it goes to. You know, there was evidently something sticking right there, and, you know, there's something right there, and, you know, but there's not a lot to these trucks. You basically got all your wire, you know, comes to right there, and it's all labeled up here. You know, it's not that bad. I mean, it wouldn't take long really to strip this out and rewire the whole thing. Of course, if I was going to do that, if I had the time to do that, I would take everything out of the engine bay, and I would, you know, power wash it and, you know, start putting it back together. But at this point in time, I don't have time or the money to restore it, so I'm just using it for what it is. When I get to that point, I'm probably going to put that 6.0 Power Stroke in it from a Ford F350 6.0 Power Stroke. But the point of the video today is the alternator quit charging the other day, and I knew there's not much to those alternators. Basically, you've got the, you know, the inside. I should have took a video of while I had it apart, but I wasn't thinking. But you've got the wheel that turns off of this belt that's missing. I hadn't put it back on yet, but anyway, you've got the wheel that turns off this belt, and what that does is it turns inside, and you've got those magnets on there, and that creates an electrical charge, you know, to charge your battery. Well, there's these, just like with a starter, there's these little magnets on springs inside there, and that's really all that can wear out on these things that I know of. I know some of y'all may be an expert, and that's fine. If I'm wrong, you know, correct me in the comments. I know you probably will, whatever. But so I took it apart, and basically what happened was, after years of, you know, you see this stuff right here, see that? So obviously there's oil and stuff that gets down in there, and this one, when I first got it, the valve covers were loose, so it did leak a little oil. So everything had oil on it. Like when I would bring it up to temperature, the heat, it would just smoke, but it wasn't like it was on fire. It's just burning that oil real slow. But anyway, over time, oil gets down in there, you know, through the back of it and stuff. Oil gets in there, and then you get that dust. So oil, that's what, just like right here, that's exactly what was on those contacts, and they can't make a good electrical charge. So what I done was took a little Dremel with one of those little sandpaper, you know, tips, and just cleaned those contacts, put it back together, charging like it's supposed to. So it saved me, you know, $300 for an alternator. I mean, it's just, you know, if another man can do it, you can do it, you know. And I know there's some things you can't do or you don't want to do, but something small like that, take it apart, check it out before you buy a new one. Maybe there's a broke wire in there, or maybe like mine was, it needed cleaned, and that's just all you got to do, you know. Save money, so, you know, source your money, use that money somewhere else. But anyway, I just want to share that with y'all. Now I got to figure out why this belt popped off. I just drove this thing earlier today, and evidently I've lost that belt. But anyway, yeah, it charges. Thank y'all. Hit the subscribe and like button. I'm gonna try to build this page. See if I can turn this thing around where you can see me. I'm gonna build this page. There's gonna be some different stuff though. You know, I've done a lot of videos on the 6.0s, and I know some people may not like that. Most pages, a lot of pages are about the same thing all the time, and there's nothing I can do the same thing all the time. Really, more than anything, it's probably going to be orientated towards the off-grid and the construction of the off-grid. So it's going to be working on a dump truck, working on a skid steer, building a chicken pen, building this, building that, just basic stuff. But I have been thinking about, there's a huge issue here with these Sasquatches, and I've got a lot to say about that. I've done a lot of thinking and a lot of studying. Like, I'm gonna give you one example. And if anybody follows the Sasquatch thing, you know, there's all kinds of different opinions and stuff like that, but I'm gonna tell you one thing, and there's so many things that I could talk about for hours on this, but they're not animals, and I'm gonna give you one example of why they're not animals. I've got a chicken pen right up there next to that burn barrel. If you've watched my videos talking about them, they eat out of my burn barrel, they eat out of my trash barrel. That chicken pen is 30 yards away from that burn barrel. Any other predator, be it a bear, wildcat, coyote, even possums. I had a possum get in there one night. They don't know boundaries. They don't know what belongs to somebody else. That's a food source. They don't care. These things have never messed with my chickens. So they have the intellect of a human being. They understand that's his. If I take that, he's going to retaliate. They're not animals, y'all. It's crazy. Anyway, appreciate y'all. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. Send this to somebody you know.